Okay. Oh, this is probably very slanted for you, isn't it? Does it matter though? I think sometimes it's nice when things are a little bit more slanted. It gives it a more authentic vibe. As I scream against the seagulls that are everywhere. So, welcome to the second episode of Reflection. We are currently in a very special position. We are on the rooftop of a communist building block, so to speak, with the Black Sea behind us. It's a beautiful scenery, as these crows really go insane on the other roof. I really hope the audio isn't too bothering. However, I do like these little gimmicks of the location that I'm currently in. You know, like the first episode I filmed in a forest, and now I'm kind of surrounded by birds on this communist rooftop, and yeah, I just hope that it's not too bad. If it is too bad, I'll do something about it in the next episode. But I didn't necessarily have a plan. I wanted to talk a little bit about my journey, about why I'm in Bulgaria, about how Bulgaria even became an option for me, or what really pulled me here for the first, the first time I've been here. Yeah, and a little bit about this process. More importantly though, man, I hope I don't get shit on. But, damn, that's a lot of birds. Well, the crazy thing is, I see them and they're not in the frame, so I don't even know if you see any of them, but I'll find that out in post when I have a bigger screen. Okay, damn, you guys gotta chill. Hey, if you shit on me, please don't. Okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm here and I wanted to show up for myself. I said I was going to do Reflection as a show, and this is going to be more like my passion project, that I want to just keep talking in a more personal way about life, how I view it, and what's going on, or what I want to reflect on. And so, the second episode is about spiritual experiences. At least that's what I want to start with. So, in the first episode, I shared with you that I've had this thing with my eye, that it was hurting for such a long time, and then in a meditation on Santa Maria, I kind of felt like my third eye opened for a minute, and I got a peek through the curtain of what else is there in the invisible. And I think one of the first instances where I was really touched spiritually was in this land, in this beautiful land of Bulgaria. So in the summer of 2021, I was first time in Bulgaria, and I came here because it was the birthday of a great friend of mine, Gabriel, who I'm also currently staying with now. And yeah, so it was his birthday, and I was already doing videos about ancient history and was caught up in it. I was really fascinated by the ancient world and the mystery of everything, and so he took me around a lot of ancient sites in Bulgaria that I've never heard before, that absolutely blew my mind. Because it's some fascinating sites. I mean, Bekliktash is this gigantic stone circle that's destroyed, and it's, there's a 120-ton stone balanced on two small points. But I'll make a video about that. It's in the works, so you'll see that more soon. And but what I want to really talk about is the festival experience, because he told me to come and we would visit a festival in the mountains together. And, as I said, I was already making videos, so I actually filmed some footage. And I'm gonna show it to you now as a clip. And even in the audio version, you hear just how much of a different person I was 2 years ago. Alright, what's up guys? I'm at a spiritual festival in Bulgaria, and I read people their tarot cards, and then afterwards ask them deep life questions about spirituality. So, stay tuned if you want to know what they say. I mean, just the insecurity, like, I feel like when I watched this video back, and I haven't watched it in like 2 years, I was like, oh man, like, 2 years really do grow you as an individual. They really impact you. And I remember what really impacted me at this festival was the way of life. Everyone was super open, everyone was heartwarming with their heart. I made so many beautiful connections with people. And had some really intense spiritual experiences too. So as I shared before, March of 2022 was when I had that experience with the eye meditation. And you know, this festival in the summer of 2021 was really one of my first hints at real deep spiritual experiences as an adult. I had a pretty intense one as a kid that I've kind of like always brushed to the side until I like reflected on it now in like older times. But yeah, so on this festival, there's this meditation circle. I wasn't on any substance, but there was a group meditation every single day led by these women dressed in white. And they would chant and they play instruments, and every single day of the week was a different day for a different chakra, basically. And I remember we were going there every single day, or at least I was going there every single day, and there was this heart chakra meditation that day. And it started, you know, they started doing it, and I mean, I'm starting to feel it right now, it's crazy. I, you know, meditated, did the guided meditation from them, and my whole body started to like vibrate, and like, you know that feeling when like a leg falls asleep or something? I had that in my whole body, but like weirdly, like I was present, but I was like vibrating. It was not shivering, but vibrating, and it was so bad. Like I couldn't get up afterwards. Like so my friend Gabriel had to like give his hand and like pull me up, and then I stood there for like, oh man, what is going on, for a while. And that was kind of the whole festival experience in itself. It was super impactful and very spiritual. And I remember really back then I was really insecure. You know, everyone was like swimming naked and stuff, but I wouldn't dare to because I was like, oh no, the shame and stuff. And now, like 2 years later, I feel like such a more confident human in my own abilities, in my own philosophies, and the way I present myself to life. However, there are still challenges, and I want to talk about that too a little bit, because it's funny, you know, Bulgaria, now I live here, I lived in many countries at this point, like Germany, Netherlands, Portugal, the Azores, which is kind of Portugal, but also kind of not, they're their own thing, and now Bulgaria, and it's fascinating, like the differences in culture and the minor ways that humanity has developed differently, or just has done different cultural things that are like acceptable or yeah, just different. I mean, here in Bulgaria, like here is really all over this area are a lot of commie blocks. I'll show a panorama of this too if you're watching this on YouTube or you're seeing this on Spotify video. And it's interesting because like the lifestyle, if I compare that to Germany, you know, it's obviously economically you know, there are countries that are doing more well, and so I come from a somewhat privileged view of things, and it's really refreshing to just see people live, you know, and it shows again that, like, I don't know, people smile on the streets here, you know. In Germany, like, yeah, maybe more people have their own, like, regular house, but it's like, it's different, because in Germany, everyone kind of seems to be a little sad all the time, or just really on the edge, and even here, I don't speak a word Bulgarian. I just started to read a little bit of Cyrillic, but the people are so friendly. Today, this morning at the bakery, I was trying to pronounce, because I feel like a primary school kid. You know, I'm trying to read what the bakery is pronounced as. You know, I'm like kicks. It's you know, some really stupid but funny. And you know, the bakery lady was really happy. She was smiling at me like, "Oh, what do you want?" Yes. Not in English, but you know, just looking at me. And another lady from like the queue behind was like really sweet and kind of like helped me, saying like letters or like pronunciations with a smile on her face. And that was a really beautiful moment, you know. And so I'm really appreciative of all these different cultures and languages, and I'm so fascinated by them. I mean, how crazy is it that, you know, we as a humanity have just developed in such different ways, that we have these different cultural aspects of like our society or the way we live, but we do that regionally, collectively. And in the Azores, for example, one of the craziest things, like I never assumed, so on the small island of San Miguel, really not a big island, you have Ponta Delgada, which is like on the south of the island, and then a place called Rabo de Peixe on the north side of the island. It's like 15 minutes driving from one another, but they speak a different dialect. And that is so crazy to me. I mean, of course it would have been more difficult to like get around without a car, without a highway. Maybe it would have taken them longer, like, you know, a few hours walking. But it's like, how do you have a different dialect? It's so crazy, and it's noticeable too, even for me as a non-native Portuguese speaker. I mean, the Azores, you know, again, their Portuguese is very unique, but even I could tell subtle differences between the small regions, and I find that fascinating. So it's been a week here in Bulgaria now, and as hinted, you know, I also do this because of the ancient history that's all over this region, especially the Black Sea behind me is a very interesting space for history. And the Thracians especially. And again, there'll be a video on them shortly. However, there's one place that I just visited that was so mind-boggling again. You know, it's a typical tomb, but it's not named a tomb, and you have these, like, it looks like a torus energy field. I'll blend that in now too. It, like, that's what it looked like, but just one half. And then apparently the guide at the site said that there is like exactly the same structure, but like in reverse, making an actual torus energy field. And you see that it's like a very visible hill in the landscape. So they built this tomb, they say, even though there was no body found in it, typical. It's like igloo kind of looking structure to compare it. But it's just overgrown, and it's grass and a natural hill. And there are a lot of those in the area. And since there are so many hills here too, you're not really quite sure what exactly a hill is when you see it, you know? And even we visited the Thracian Archaeology Museum. Even there they had like descriptions of like, oh, we found these ancient artifacts under a commie building block or under a park, you know? And it always has this fascination within me where I wonder what's beneath our feet. Because there's so much that we just can't fathom that is just right below us. And I've recently also had this fascination with objects that are so ancient and old. I mean, you can even have it with modern ones, like this camera. I mean, how long has this camera really been in the making? You know, people say, oh, we developed so quickly because suddenly we put it all together, right? Because we have the internet and we can exchange information quicker, which leads to more and more inventions. However, imagine all the things that have ever needed to come to be or have to be found out by humans in order for them to exist as a product today. Like a camera, like glass, the discovery of glass, making a lens. You know, then like plastic, of course, but like, you know, out of what is plastic? So then you have the whole oil thing, and, you know, I mean, the dinosaur thing, right? I think that's what plastic is out. The plastic dinosaurs just really being recycled into fake ones. Although maybe real dinosaurs are fake too, but it's this is for another one. And I mean, I guess I can share that quickly. You know, dinosaurs. What I find strange about them, and I loved them as a kid. I loved dinosaurs as a kid. What I find weird about them is this: there's never been a complete skeleton found. Although there have been almost complete ones, like 90%. Although little, I think they're like 4 T-Rex skeletons. They're like all around 90%. But, you know, besides that, a lot of them really aren't near complete skeletons. So a lot of it is human imagination, or I guess like movies, like Jurassic Park, you know. I mean, even how they look like nowadays, they say they had feathers. Then earlier we depicted them as lizards. And we go on, you know, we grow as a science and humanity. But the term dinosaur was there before a dinosaur was found. And then you have the weird Bone Wars thing where these two American dudes were like constantly sabotaging each other and frauding dinosaur skeletons in order to, yeah, like get money. So then, like, I think they found 200 dinosaurs that are now called like absolute bullshit or something like that. I may be wrong on the numbers. Don't have a Jamie yet, you know. But it's really, really interesting just to go down these rabbit holes of hypotheticals and questions. You know, a big part of how I feel like I was able to raise my consciousness, it sounds strange, but like how I grew as a person and how I grew my mind was to have a completely open-minded perspective on so many things. I mean, I really feel that we don't know anything. And, you know, we take guesses with science, and we make great things happen, like a camera, you know, like amazing. And we know how to make a camera, but also a very limited amount of people know that. But that's not really the point here. The point is that if we look into our past, into our ancient history, there's, like, what do we actually know? You know, I mean, even at the Thracian Museum, like, the artifacts they had these pans made of bronze with, like, really detailed animal skulls at the skillet of it. I think that's what you call it, like the end of the pan. And it was so detailed and beautiful and 2,000 years old, and it looked like if you throw it on a stove right now, it works. And that's so much love, that's so much detail, and it's so sophisticated. You know, they wrote poems, they did art, and I wonder, like, yeah, maybe we build communist blocks today and, you know, use a lot more plastic, but does that mean we're more sophisticated? That we're, like, not so primitive? I find that term really frustrating, you know, and I think it's an unhealthy way to look at the ancestors that paved the way for us. I mean, this camera, like your device you're holding in your hand right now that you're watching this on, it wouldn't exist for all the ancestors that we've had. You know, yet nowadays, old people are just, like, pushed to the side, being like, grandpa, you don't, like, matter anymore. You get into senior citizens' home and that's it, you know, it's ball game. And it's sad. And if we play that rule back, I mean, the person that made that bronze pan 2,000 years ago, one of us could be related with him, you know, and what an amazing discovery a frying pan is. And all of life and all of human intervention has so much magic in it. That's right. You know, the cacawing of cross. It's beautiful. I mean, all of this is so beautiful. You know, it's so fascinating how easy it is to neglect all the beauty that is around us and to not see it anymore. When it's all and omnipresent. It's omnipresent. And you find it in everything. You find that essence, the seed of an object. That's actually a great thing. And I recently came across, I don't know, it was in Marcus Aurelius. It was in Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, where he said that you should always look into the seed of things. You know, like, if you look at a seed of a tree, the entire tree is contained within the seed, you know? And that's crazy. I mean, that cycle of, like, you have an entire, even with humans, right? You have this shape of a human. But actually, there's a thought coming up right now, right? So if we say that is the case with trees, I mean, I guess trees are also shaped by their environment. Okay, never mind. I had this idea right now that perhaps, you know, if the tree coming to its fruition is saved in the seed, so the DNA for the entire tree, how it's growing, is preserved in the seed, then wouldn't it be the same case for humans, right? In a sense of, like, making a case for destiny. But I guess in a way you could also then say that the seed drops in a certain place is also the destiny of the tree, which could be the case for humans, you know? I mean, we don't really decide where we spawn into this reality, and then we see what environment, what environments we see, what environment brings us up, what personal challenges, and we grow from that, you know? And there's a lot of beauty in it, and yeah, but I guess that's not really a destiny call. Oh well, you know, some thoughts, I mean, I stand by it. You know, sometimes, especially when doing this in, like, a monologue fashion, you know, there are these thoughts about like, oh, how much value can I really bring into this, you know? And I really want to keep this concept as open as possible, so you could see anything on this podcast. I kind of just want to go with the moment and also plan some things. When I feel like it's fitting to talk about a certain subject, I'll do it. And still, even though I didn't really come with a plan today about, okay, this is something that we really want to speak about, I still decided to come sit down and record this, and I think I'll also upload it. Because it's as important for me to stand up to myself, and I want to practice what you preach, right? And my goal is really to also encourage you doing your creative projects. Like, I'm sure there's something that you've been really scared to put into the world, that you have worked so hard or have thought so much about that one thing that you always wanted to do, but you were scared of judgment or scared of whatever it may be that brought you fear. Scare is the fear of failure, the fear of success even, which are all real things. They're all programmed within us to have these traumas that want to keep us down on the ground. And you know, there's a very beautiful German song that my beautiful best friend Leon just sent me. And Leon, I mean, I don't know why I pronounce that in English, but it's a beautiful song where it's also about this idea of never giving up on your dreams, like rather failing 1,000 times than not having at least tried it. And that's my whole mindset when it comes to this podcast, when it comes to living my life. I don't want to look back at it and say I didn't do it because I was scared. No. If it's legitimate fear, yes. But if it's that fear where you know kinda it's not a real fear, it's just you being in your own head about it, go over that hump. Go over that hump. Jump it. You know, even if you land flat on the ground. You know, and matter of fact, you know, even though there's a essence about dreaming about something being really big and huge and having all these plans, but there's also something about saying I expect nothing. And I think, honestly, for me, it has been the more healthier approach. In the beginning, when I started my project, I was the biggest dreamer. Man. I always thought to myself, like, yeah, you know, there's gonna be the biggest thing in the universe, you know, it's gonna be so big, and I'm gonna have so much success with it. And nowadays, like, even with this podcast, like, I've been so grateful for all the beautiful messages that I've received from friends and just from people that mean a lot to me, that have come out and told me that, you know, they're really happy for me and they're excited. And I think that's what it's about. For me, I reached this point, and even with social media, where of course in the past years I've gotten some attention, you know, I've had videos go viral, quote unquote. And in the beginning I was like, yeah, bro, I'm the shit, you know? And I now I still think that, but more in a way where I feel good about myself, but not because of the numbers, but because of I do the work that I feel like helps humans the most. And for me, my path is kind of enlightening humans with ancient history or mythological talk or just questions that open the mind. Because I feel my passion in that, in communicating the wonders of the world, the mysteries of life, and reflecting on them. And I think nowadays with this podcast and with the videos I do now, it's a bit easier with this podcast and on social media though because of old patterns, but this podcast especially, I don't have expectations. I'm just like, hey, I'm glad I showed up for myself. I'm glad I talked to the camera today, and I'm glad that I say some things that are on my mind and on my heart. And that's my goal. And if it gets a lot of attention, great. If it doesn't get any attention, great. Because great. I don't know if I would phrase it like that, because words are spells after all. So, of course, I wish for this to get a lot of attention, because I feel it has value, you know. At the same time, I'm okay with it not having attention, because I feel great about myself doing this, and as long as I can help a single person to sit down and encourage them to start whatever they're doing, you know, worry less about the value or or whatever you feel a video needs or creative project needs. Just go out and be you and do yourself, but in a positive manner, you know? And if I achieve that, then my goal is complete. You know, it's a snowball effect. And we're really out here to look out for one another, to inspire one another, to give a helping hand when someone feels down, you know? And this value thing has come up multiple times while I recorded this podcast, where I felt like, oh, maybe I should stop talking because there's not a lot of value in this. And I really contemplated what it means for something to value in the last few days, or matter of fact, last few weeks, months, in the process of somehow finally being able to publish this podcast. And I feel there's an essence to value where you can really say, okay, this has collective value. But I think value is very subjective in the first place, right? Which gives the point of, if I inspire one, that's completely enough. And second of all, if you just go on YouTube, right? Or any social media platform, you know how much or how many hours of video materials there are that I personally, for myself, don't see any value for consuming. You know, there's entertainment, but you know how much stuff there is? Like, even people counting to, you know, taking 24 hours to count to 100,000, which is like a viral video. What value does it have? You know, and no hate to any creator that does it, no hate to any creative project. I think it's a genius idea, and it takes a lot of dedication and energy and time. And at the same time, I say this to encourage you to do what you want to do. I mean, what stops you? What stops you? Come on. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Look yourself in the eye and brush your teeth with your left hand, because it stimulates your subconscious. As crazy as that sounds, I have no idea if it's true. I've heard it from a couple of people, so take it with a grain of salt. However, I do feel it does something, because you're in an unnatural position, which opens your mind up to perhaps take you out of the normal motion you do when you brush your teeth. And so look yourself in the mirror and tell your reflection really how proud you are of yourself, how much you love yourself. You know, and I love you, matter of fact. If you're watching this, I love you. But besides the point, really look at yourself and tell yourself how much value your stories have, how much value that project that's been boiling on your soul has, if not for others, for yourself. Because the feeling you get when you do this. You know, when I posted reflection, it wasn't like fireworks and sudden explosion, but I felt confident because I stuck up to my word. One of my most important values now is that whatever I say, I do. I want to be a man of my word. And that is sometimes challenging. For example, when people ask me to do plans or anything, to get my, to put my spirit and energy in a certain time and space, it's difficult for me to give a concrete confirmation. I always say I may be there, and I try my hardest to be. However, I don't want to speak of certainties when I cannot be certain, because then I wouldn't be a man of my word. And so, if you, and I feel like a lot of people have this, me myself included, for a very long time, and it's a process. I still make mistakes. I still say things that end up not happening or end up being different than the way I said it. However, if you really focus on what is going on in your life and you go behind your words, you speak it into existence, you speak it and then you do it, there's power in that. And that's what encouraged me after dropping the first episode of Reflection. So that's, I think, the note that I want to end this podcast on too. And then I'll go around the block and show you the sunset that may still be going on, may not. However, do what you love. Follow your heart. And don't let anyone disencourage you. If any of your friends disencourage you with your creative projects, maybe they're not that good of a friend after all. And see what environment you can put yourself in where you get inspiration from people that actually love you and that want you to do something that challenges you, want you to put you out of your comfort zone to grow as an individual. And maybe even you've struggled to find passion, maybe you struggle to find that inner fire, but just by starting to do something, doesn't matter what it is, try it out. There's certainly things that you're curious about that maybe you liked as a kid that you stopped doing. Do that, see what happens. Much love, never stop reflecting yourself. I don't want to speak in absolutes, I guess, but reflecting is pretty important, so I'll leave it. As above, so below, as within, so without. Greetings from Bulgaria, the Black Sea, and I'll see you until next time. Much love. And don't think I forgot about the sunset, though. I mean, look at this view, man. Shee. Oh, that's nice. Let's get a frame of this even. That's the sunsets here, baby. Really nice. That's pretty much it.
Really cool.
The red button.